This is 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. The end of all things is near. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled so that you can pray. Above all, love each other deeply because love covers over a multitude of sin. Offer hospitality to others, to another without grumbling. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others faithfully, administering God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speak, he should do it as one speaking the very words of God. Okay? It's the word of God. Like I said before, loving someone who is hateful, how to deal with someone that is hateful, how to work with someone who is hateful. You have no choice but to pray and go to the word of God. I say you have no choice, but you really do have a choice. The choice is really yours. You can either stay in the foolishness or give it to God and move on. Pray, move on, seek God's guidance, not your own. You can have a ton of worldly, what am I going to try to say? Common sense. But it's nothing without the word of God. If you don't have the word of God intertwined with common sense and book smarts, and you're walking with the word of God in you, and when you speak, it's with the word of God in you, then therefore you have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to worry about. Put your trust in him, and he will fix it all. Always will. He do what he see fits, not what we feel like he should do. Show grace, forgive, do not match their energy, do not react to them, have self-control. Being kind does not mean someone walk over you, let someone walk over you. Practice forgiveness, still love them, including your enemies. Setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is different from avoiding someone, okay? Seeking God's wisdom. It says the 80-20 rule. Let's talk about the 80-20 rule. 80-20, it says 80% of the ministry work is done by 20% of the congregation. 20% of the congregation is doing all of the work of the church. We have to learn how to work together to make it successful. You want your church to grow? That 20% that's doing the work, they got to be able to get along. Because if you don't get along and don't show forgiveness, we're just running around trying to chase a chicken. That's like a cat trying to chase a mouse in a cage. We're just running into each other. We can't get anything done and complete the task because there's no forgiveness there. If forgiveness was part of the mission before a person takes on a position, volunteer for a position in the church, and understanding what forgiveness means, because what tends to happen is when someone does not forgive someone, they change their work ethic. They don't put as much energy into what they're trying to do for the church because they're still frustrated and have not forgiven someone that is causing chaos. So therefore, you can it affects the entire church. Out of 15 or so positions in the church, you have so many people that are walking around hateful, carrying loads of unforgiveness. They have that Jezebel spirit of control. And a lot of times that controlling spirit is because they haven't forgiven someone for something that they've done. They say, I'll do it. I don't trust that you're going to get it done right. And when they be like that, you already know we're going to have problems. We have to learn to work together, and we have to learn to be quiet when someone's doing something and they ask you for the help. Instead of trying to take over the position or take over the project or whatever, you step back and say, what you need me to do? And you complete the task if you volunteered to do it. Just complete it. It's one of the hardest things to do, especially when you see someone, they unorganized and things are just not going the way that you would want them to go. But you volunteered for this, and them people gonna make me look crazy like I ain't got myself together because they unorganized. But you still just show up. You get the job done. You do what the Lord asks you to do, because there's learning in so many different things. It's learning in everything. And the older I get, the calmer I get, the more I sit back and just kind of say, okay, what you need me to do? I got you. I'll take care of it. No problem. Oh, come on, y'all. Let's not act like that. Let's not be like that towards each other. That's not nice. Don't avoid that person. That's not a good look. Okay? So the best thing to do is to try to forgive, because that's what God will want us to do. People are going to come in there broken. People are going to come in church broken, angry, frustrated. It's so much going on in the world. Bills are late. Children don't act right. You know what I'm saying? We don't need to be walking around here causing chaos in the church. We don't need to be hateful. Yeah, do you not know people fight? They still fight at church. That'd be the last thing I want to happen at a church is somebody fighting in the church. That's so embarrassing. Y'all out here trying to embarrass people. We're not going to do that, because if we really totally truly believe, if we totally truly believe in the Word of God, why are we carrying on the way we carry on? We shouldn't even be carrying on the way we carry on. We shows out. But I will say, I've had someone tell me something before. I was just in a room and minding my business, and they said, you just want to be the center of attention every time, don't you? It was a side swipe. I was kind of like, I'm there just cutting papers up, and I'm just trying to understand what? Try to be the center of attention when I'm mainly the person that like to do things behind the scenes and see things come together in the end, and quietly sit off to the side. But that's something that somebody been wanting to tell me for a very long time. They've been holding it in their heart, and they come out and say, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, you're not joking. That's how you feel. I can't help how you feel about me. That's your mind. That's your heart. But what I will say is, you got to be careful what you say to people. That person might actually like you. And after saying something like that, they might look at you kind of side eye. Like, be careful, because that woman or that man carrying a crazy spirit on them. Why would you say something to a person that's on your team that wants to see things grow? That, like I said, that's why you got to be careful what you say to people. Because then you wonder why people don't want to be teammates with you. They don't want people to teamwork makes the dream work. You still talking to this, you stepping off to the side, talking about people, talking about this and talking about that. You causing division in the ministry that's supposed to have togetherness, supposed to have sisterhood and brotherhood. You just, who does that? Don't do that. That's not nice. It's not nice to do that type of, I'm trying to make sure I use the right word. It's just simple hatefulness. Because a person can have the most confidence, and I can't help how a person read it wrong. You can read me wrong all day long, but one thing you won't say is that I want to be the center of attention. That's one thing you won't do, because I have confidence in my walk and in my talk. People don't even know what I've been through in my life, but yet and still will take little cheap shots like that. But you got to let them just kind of lay in there. You know what I'm saying? If they can't even come to you and say, you know what, I shouldn't have said it. I apologize. I shouldn't have said it at all, because it wasn't even appropriate. It's like, it's not even appropriate for the workplace. You know what I'm saying? It's like if I come in there talking crazy, if it's not appropriate in the workplace, people get rolled up and they get fired. So why would you say something crazy like that? We're in there to encourage one another in the ministry, not to say something and try to break somebody down. And the only reason I'm talking about this, because I know somebody else done been through that. Church hurt is real. That's why a lot of people don't even want to come to church now. We have to be careful what we say and how we say things. You know what I mean? Even me, I have to, even though I'm a jokester, like all of my hair clients understand me. But if you're not one of my hair clients, you wouldn't understand me. When I say, you ain't gonna do right, they know what I mean. They know what I mean when I say that. We laugh it off. But a person that don't know me, that I say, you ain't gonna do right, they might think, oh my God, she just shut me all the way down. You see what I'm saying? So I have to be careful with my words too when it's unintentional. Some of that stuff is unintentional. But when you really take a cheap shot at somebody because you feeling some type of way, but then turn around and say, I'm just kidding. Come on, get it together. We all need to get it together in the church with how we talk about people, how we do things and cause division in the church. How you split things. You wonder why you can't get people to fill certain positions in the church, because it's always chaotic. It's childish. That's what it is. And we talking about older people. Childish. The kids, they don't even want to come to church. And then we wonder why they don't want to come to church, because the grown folks don't even know how to act. Can you just think about that for a second? Can you actually process the fact that kids don't even want to come to church no more because the adults don't even know how to act? Okay? Really? The kids don't want to come because the adults don't know how to act. And people say, oh, just stay there and fight. Fight with all your might. No, baby, you ain't supposed to fight. Church, you don't supposed to come to church to fight. You don't supposed to stay in a position to fight. That ain't of God. That is not of God. That fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Oh, just coming there and taking cheap shots at people and this and fighting and more fighting and fighting and fighting. Fighting for what? All we doing is walking around in one big old circle. One big circle. Just one big circle. And getting weary, can't do our job properly because we're constantly having a fight. Wonder why the kids don't want to show up because they see the fights. They hear about the fights. The parents talk about the fights. And then you wonder why the church, it'll take 2 steps forward and 15 steps back. It's because the adults don't know how to act. It's because the adults, I'm going to say this really loud and clear. It's because the adults don't know how to act. We need church etiquette. I was part of a church that nurtured the ministers' wives. I was part of a church that nurtured the deacon and deaconess. The older people came in and carried them along the way, showed them how to dress and talk and what their job duties are. It was loving, it was caring. You don't see that anymore. They're dying off. Those older people are dying off. And the ones that learned it are not teaching it to the younger generation because they're so hardcore. They just want to do it their way. They just want to do things their way. Instead of God's way. We're supposed to be nourishing to someone. You're supposed to nurture someone. You're supposed to love people. You're supposed to show them. We don't throw people in a position and not teach them what the position is. We don't jump the gun on those type of things. How are people supposed to do their job properly when they don't even know what to do? Of course, people are going to get frustrated and resign because honestly, they came in to help, and then if the arguments and stuff are causing issues in the church and causing people to lose focus, then sometimes the best thing is to resign, to clear the air and not be a distraction in the church. Not to be fighting. Fighting is that's the devil. That's that demonic spirit that carries the church. That demonic spirit is not supposed to be, let's keep fighting. Let's keep fighting and fighting and fighting. We ain't getting nothing done. Let's keep fighting. When it should be, let me forgive my brother and my sister and move on. Let's make this thing work because we got love. We got souls to save. We got people that's out here running mentally ill. They're all over the place. They might come to church one time and what they see is a church full of division. Is that right? Is that really what God wants? When He wanted to capture someone and show them how powerful He was, He is, He gives His best everywhere He went. Not just something temporarily, that just temporarily just putting on the mask and walking. He didn't put on the mask. He spoke the truth. He was the light in the middle of darkness. Regardless of what darkness looms over your church, God's light should be brighter than that. It shouldn't be about how you feel. It's about what God say do. What direction He wants us to take. Clear the air, clear the smoke, and show people a loving church, a church that's approachable. Talk about hand up. We're not going to just hand out. We're going to hand up. That's not just with canned goods and food boxes. That's about, I'm going to give you the word, but I'm also going to show you how to use the word. How to use the word to walk with your life. How to use the word to deal with things in your life. How to use the word of God to be whole and not look for wholeness in someone else. To feel complete with the word of God. And anything else that comes good your way, it's just an enhancement. But I just think about so much that goes on in the church, and sometimes it's bothersome. We're losing our children. They're killing. They're fighting at the mall. They're robbing people. They're breaking in people's homes and breaking in people's cars and taking their stuff, playing with guns and doing videos with guns. And we sitting up here want to just walk around here with unforgiveness in our heart. I'm going to continue this topic because we have to learn exactly how God wants this to play out. What does God want us to do? It clearly says, what does it say? Seek God's wisdom. Not go over here to talk to that person and I'm going to seek their wisdom. And you can do all that. You can do all that. And that's fine. But at the same time, you got to have this word of God, this holy Bible right here. You got to have that first. God's wisdom. Not Miss Jones' wisdom. Not Miss, that'll twist you all up. You'll be so confused because everybody's walk is different. Your walk is not like my walk. My walk is different than such and such walk. This remains the same. This remains the same. Pick and choose your battles wisely. Because majority of the battles, 100% of the battles, it's not for you to fight. I'm not putting on no boxing gloves with no humans. I'm going to let God fight my battles. When we sit up here and sing all these songs about God fighting my battles, well, let God fight your battles. Let God fight your battles. Literally, physically, spiritually. Let him fight your battles. I'm getting off of here. I think I've said enough. I think I'm almost at an hour. But I tell you the truth that the word of God remains the same. And he don't want us physically, mentally, spiritually tearing our brains up trying to fight battles that don't even belong to us. He wants us to get in the word of God and trust that he will fix it. Totally believe that he will fix it. That's the only way. So before people get into these positions in churches and different things like that, because I know everybody kind of do once a year or every 2 years, I would tell people right now that you're going to have to get yourself to a place. The church is going to have to get themselves to a place where we learn to work together in love and learn to forgive one another. I did something, I shouldn't have did it. I should have spoke to you first. I apologize. I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have said that to you like that. I apologize. I didn't know I hurt your feelings. Such and such told me that I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to. It came off wrong. That was not my intentions. What's so hard about doing something like that? And mean it. To not be a robot in the system. Like you following some script. On paragraph 2, it tell me I need to apologize to you. And don't mean nothing. You got to mean it. It has to be in your heart. It has to be pure. But we all have to move on. Because if we don't, 10 years from now, you're going to start hearing more and more churches closing down because we can't save our youth. You can't keep the doors open because bills are needing to be paid at church too. So you lacking members, meaning lack of financial gain to pay the bills to keep the church doors open. So you cannot look at that. There's a way, there's a way. God is the way. God always fixes things. Sometimes he allows things to kind of be open. Sometimes he allows things to close down. But without a spot or wrinkle. That's what he's looking for. I hope I was encouraging to somebody. I've matured a lot myself. It's taken a lot to get here. But I will say we have to learn to do better. I'm not talking about y'all. Me too. We all got to do better. And at the end of the day, we're not following no script. We following the word of God. I'm Angela Todd with Lots of Listening Podcasts. Continue to read your word and trust in God and learn to forgive before it's too late. Angela Todd, your host, Lots of Listening Podcasts. Have a wonderful day, you all. Be blessed.